Hello, thoughtful Libra. If this message has found you on July 4th or 5th, 2026, allow yourself a quiet pause before moving on with your day. There are moments when life doesn't ask you to solve anything immediately. It simply invites you to notice what has been quietly shifting within you. What you're sensing now may not come with dramatic signs, yet it could change the way you understand a situation that has been unfolding in the background for longer than you realize. The title of this reading may sound as though something extraordinary is about to happen, but the most meaningful turning points are often surprisingly quiet. They arrive as a new way of seeing when scattered thoughts suddenly begin fitting together and something you've been feeling without fully understanding finally comes into focus. Libra often recognizes these subtle changes through reflection rather than impulse, and you may have noticed recently that certain conversations, relationships, or choices have carried a different emotional weight than they once did. Rather than rushing toward conclusions, you've likely been weighing possibilities, comparing what truly brings you peace with what has simply become familiar. That careful process has its own wisdom, and today's energy suggests it may be bringing you closer to an answer. For some of you, this growing clarity may touch your relationships. For others, it may influence an important decision about your future, your work, or the direction you're ready to pursue. You may even discover that something you once believed needed to remain the same is quietly making room for a healthier form of balance. That is why today's message feels significant, not because it points toward disruption, but because it reflects gentle movement. There is movement within your perspective, within your priorities, and within the way you're beginning to value your own voice. Real change rarely begins with a single event. More often, it starts when your inner world settles into a new alignment, and your outer circumstances gradually begin responding to that shift. As this reading continues, you may recognize why certain feelings, encounters, or recurring thoughts have been appearing in your life lately. Instead of seeing them as random, you may begin to understand how they connect to a larger pattern that has been guiding you toward greater clarity. What is approaching is not something you need to resist. It may simply be the next step that becomes visible once you've allowed yourself to see your path from a different perspective. Before we continue, I'd like to share something from the heart. If these readings have been a source of clarity, comfort, or encouragement for you, and you'd like to help keep them coming, you're warmly invited to support the channel through the donation link in the description, or by scanning the QR code on your screen. Our goal for July is simply to reach $100 to help cover the monthly costs of creating and maintaining this channel. Every contribution, no matter the amount, is deeply appreciated and helps make these readings possible. And to everyone who has already offered your support, thank you. Your kindness truly means more than you know. Now, before we look at where this quiet realignment may begin to show itself most clearly, it helps to pay attention to the subtle signal many Libras have been sensing lately. Long before circumstances change in ways everyone can see, there is often a quiet shift within a feeling that something no longer fits as naturally as it once did. The moment you begin recognizing the gentle invitation to grow, the experiences that follow start connecting in ways that feel surprisingly meaningful. That inner signal is often where every meaningful transformation begins. Before life changes on the outside, Libra usually notices a subtle change within. Not because you're searching for something different, but because you're naturally attuned to harmony, perspective, and the emotional atmosphere around you. When that inner balance begins to shift, even ever so slightly, you often sense it long before you can fully explain why. Over the past several days or weeks, you may have found yourself holding two very different feelings at the same time. One part of you appreciates what is familiar, the routines, the relationships, and the patterns that have offered comfort. Yet another part has been quietly asking whether those same patterns still reflect the person you are becoming. That question doesn't demand immediate action, but it deserves your attention. Libra often remains committed to people and situations because you genuinely value understanding, fairness, and meaningful connection. You are willing to listen, to compromise, and to give relationships or responsibilities the time they need. Yet there are moments when preserving harmony can unintentionally keep you connected to versions of yourself that have already begun to evolve. The first sign of growth is often not a dramatic event, but a quiet awareness that your heart is asking for a different kind of balance. The universe doesn't always announce these moments with unmistakable signs. Sometimes they arrive as a recurring thought that refuses to disappear, a conversation that lingers in your mind, or a simple realization that your perspective has changed without you noticing exactly when it happened. That quiet recognition may be the beginning of a meaningful realignment, inviting you to trust that the person you are becoming is ready to see life through a clearer window than before. That is why this message carries such quiet significance. The shift beginning to unfold isn't asking you to chase something outside yourself first. It begins with a clearer understanding of who you are becoming and what genuinely deserves a place in your life. As your perspective settles, you may find yourself recognizing that certain situations, expectations, or relationships no longer reflect the balance you are seeking, and making room for that realization is what allows your future to expand. Life lesson. One of the most meaningful lessons Libra can embrace is that true balance is not achieved by keeping everything exactly as it is. Sometimes it comes from having the courage to acknowledge that growth asks for a different path. There is an important difference between preserving something because it still nurtures your life and holding onto it simply because it once did. Wisdom often appears when you recognize that letting your choices evolve is not the same as giving up. It is an expression of self-respect. As you become more aware of your own value, your decisions begin to change in subtle but powerful ways. You naturally gravitate toward people, opportunities, and environments that reflect the respect you are learning to give yourself. Life often seems to respond when your inner compass becomes clearer, not because everything changes overnight, but because you begin seeing possibilities that once remained hidden behind uncertainty. If this speaks to something you've been feeling, take a moment to share it in the comments. Comment if you sense that an important part of your life has been quietly preparing for a new season. Sometimes simply putting that feeling into words is enough to help you recognize how far you've already come. Now that we've explored the quiet realignment unfolding within you, it's time to notice where those inner changes may first begin revealing themselves. For many Libras, that place is the heart. A thoughtful conversation, an unexpected moment of honesty, or a quiet shift in understanding between two people may gently bring into focus something that has been taking shape beneath the surface for far longer than you realized. Relationships often become the first mirror of our inner transformation. As your perspective grows clearer, the connections closest to you may begin reflecting that change in meaningful ways. This isn't necessarily about dramatic confessions or unexpected twists. More often, it's about seeing one another with greater honesty, recognizing where genuine harmony already exists, and understanding the difference between keeping the peace and building a relationship rooted in mutual trust, openness, and emotional balance. You rarely give your trust without thought. You often take time to understand another person's perspective, weighing words against actions, and searching for a connection that feels balanced as well as sincere. When your heart opens, you naturally hope that care, understanding, and respect will flow in both directions. Yet in trying to preserve harmony, you may sometimes postpone expressing what you truly need. The energy surrounding these days suggests that uncertainty may gradually give way to honesty. Someone could begin expressing feelings that have remained unspoken, or a relationship that has felt difficult to read may finally become easier to understand. In other cases, the realization may come from within, as you recognize with surprising clarity what your own heart has been asking for all along. Emotional truth often arrives quietly. It grows through thoughtful conversations, sincere actions, and moments when both people become willing to lower their defenses. There comes a point when waiting no longer creates peace, and honest communication becomes the gentlest path forward. A single exchange, a heartfelt message, or even a shifted perspective could help you understand where this connection is naturally leading. For some Libras, this may bring healing, as old misunderstandings begin to soften and emotional distance gradually narrows. For others, it may offer the reassurance needed to move forward with greater confidence, or the clarity to recognize that a relationship is ready to grow in a different direction. Whatever form it takes, understanding has a way of replacing uncertainty with quiet confidence. When you know where you truly stand, your natural warmth, generosity, and openness have room to flourish again. Healthy relationships are not built on guessing what another person feels. They grow when both people feel safe enough to be genuine, even when honesty feels vulnerable at first. Life lesson. Lasting. Last is strengthened by openness, not perfection. Mutual trust develops when people choose sincerity over fear, understanding over assumptions, and authentic conversation over silence. Clarity may ask for courage, but it also creates the foundation where respect, emotional safety, and genuine partnership can continue to grow. If this part of the reading reflects your current experience, share your thoughts in the comments. Comment if you feel that an important truth within your relationships is beginning to reveal itself. Knowing that others are moving through similar moments of reflection can be a comforting reminder that meaningful growth is rarely a journey taken alone. As important as emotional clarity may be, it is only one piece of the larger picture unfolding around you. The same inner balance that is reshaping your relationships may also begin influencing the way you see your work, your opportunities, and the value you bring into the world. That is where our attention turns next. And for some of you, the next stage of this journey may arrive through a realization that quietly changes the way you see yourself. You may begin to recognize that your value has never been as limited as you once believed, and that awareness has the potential to influence far more than your confidence. It can reshape the opportunities you notice, the choices you make, and the direction you're willing to explore. As that inner clarity continues to grow, it naturally begins reaching beyond your relationships and into another area of your life that deserves just as much attention: your sense of personal value. The way you see your own contributions has a quiet but lasting influence on your work, your ambitions, your finances, and even the opportunities you're willing to believe are possible. As your perspective becomes clearer, you may discover that your greatest strength has never been measured only by what you accomplish. It also lives in the calm presence, thoughtful insight, creativity, and sense of balance you bring wherever life leads you. Libra often strives to create harmony, sometimes placing so much attention on supporting others that your own needs quietly move into the background. You may hesitate to ask for recognition or to express what you truly deserve, because keeping peace has often felt easier than creating discomfort. Yet there comes a point when genuine balance asks you to honor yourself with the same fairness you so willingly offer everyone else. That quiet awareness may already be taking shape. Perhaps you're beginning to notice opportunities that once seemed beyond your reach. Perhaps someone finally acknowledges your perspective or your talents in a way that feels long overdue. Or perhaps the greatest change is happening inside you as you recognize that your future deserves more than simply settling for what feels familiar. This isn't about seeking approval or placing yourself above others. It is about seeing yourself with greater honesty. When your own voice carries more confidence, your decisions naturally begin reflecting that change. We become more willing to pursue opportunities that align with your values, and you stop measuring your worth by how much you sacrifice to keep everyone else comfortable. Life has a remarkable way of responding when your inner balance becomes stronger. Possibilities that once felt distant can suddenly appear more attainable. Conversations begin moving in a different direction, and choices that once seemed uncertain become easier to make. The world may not change overnight, but your relationship with it begins to shift because you are meeting it from a place of greater clarity instead of hesitation. For many Libras, this moment marks the beginning of a healthier relationship with personal value. You may finally appreciate strengths that have been quietly developing through years of thoughtful reflection, empathy, and steady growth. As that awareness deepens, new paths may begin opening, not because you've become someone different, but because you are allowing more of your authentic self to be seen. Your worth has never been measured by how often you place yourself second or by how much you sacrifice to preserve harmony. It has always lived in the insight, compassion, integrity, and quiet wisdom you bring into the lives of those around you. As you begin to recognize that truth for yourself, your choices naturally start aligning with opportunities that reflect it, and the respect you cultivate within often becomes visible in the way others respond to your presence. If this speaks to where you are today, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Comment if you feel ready to embrace a new chapter of confidence, opportunity, or self-worth. Many Libras may be discovering this same quiet shift, and hearing one another's experiences can be a meaningful reminder that personal growth often unfolds together. Yet this journey reaches beyond your relationships and your sense of purpose. Some of the most meaningful changes don't appear through major events. They reveal themselves through the people who have shared your history. Family, long-standing connections, and even an unexpected conversation can gently uncover patterns that help you better understand not only where you've been, but where your life is quietly leading you. As your relationships and your sense of self continue finding greater balance, another important layer of this journey may begin coming into focus through your family or the people who have always felt like home. Family is rarely defined by perfection. It is woven from shared memories, familiar roles, meaningful conversations, and emotional patterns that shape us long before we're aware of their influence. Looking at those patterns with fresh eyes may reveal how much you've grown and how that growth is beginning to reshape the connections that matter most. Libra often becomes the person who brings people together, smoothing tensions, encouraging understanding, and helping others find common ground. That gift can create beautiful connections. Yet it can also lead you to place your own feelings aside while trying to preserve harmony for everyone else. Over time, it becomes easy to forget that your emotional needs deserve the same care you so naturally offer those around you. The energy surrounding these days suggests that a meaningful moment of awareness may arise within your personal circle. It could come through an honest conversation, a family gathering, a message from someone you haven't spoken with in some time, or a simple exchange that helps you see an old situation from a completely different perspective. Sometimes the smallest moments become the clearest mirrors. You may recognize how much you've grown since earlier chapters of your life. You may begin noticing emotional patterns that once influenced your choices without your full awareness. Or someone close to you may offer appreciation, understanding, or honesty that gently restores a deeper sense of connection. These experiences remind us that healing often begins when we see familiar relationships with fresh eyes. Family relationships often reflect what is happening within us. As your inner world finds greater balance, the way you respond to the people around you naturally begins to change, and those changes can quietly reshape the atmosphere of the relationships that matter most. As this inner journey continues, Libra, you may notice that emotional maturity is becoming one of your greatest strengths. You're beginning to understand people with greater compassion, not because they've changed overnight, but because your own perspective has widened. When you stop viewing relationships through old expectations and begin seeing them through genuine understanding, a quiet sense of peace often follows. That new perspective can become deeply healing. Long-standing misunderstandings may lose their emotional weight. Conversations that once felt impossible may unfold with surprising ease, and emotional distance can begin to soften. This doesn't happen because every situation suddenly becomes perfect. It happens because you've grown into someone who responds differently, and that quiet shift has the power to influence the atmosphere around you. Life lesson. One of the most valuable gifts we can give ourselves is the willingness to understand our past without allowing it to define our future. Every relationship leaves behind lessons, and those lessons become wisdom when we carry them forward with awareness rather than regret. True balance isn't found by rewriting your history. It grows from recognizing how each experience has helped shape the person you are becoming. If this part of the reading reflects something unfolding within your family or your closest relationships, take a moment to share your experience in the comments. Comment if a recent conversation or realization has helped you see someone or even yourself in a new light. Moments like these often seem small while they're happening, yet they quietly redirect the course of our lives. Even with greater emotional clarity, stronger self-worth, and a deeper understanding of the people closest to you, there is still another layer of this journey waiting to unfold. Sometimes the most meaningful developments don't arrive as isolated events. They emerge when everything you've been learning begins to connect, revealing a larger pattern that has been quietly taking shape beneath the surface all along. As those pieces begin fitting together, life often starts responding in ways that feel both natural and deeply meaningful. After seasons of reflection, honest conversations, and growing self-awareness, there comes a time when the changes within you begin finding their reflection in the world around you. Libra, you may be approaching one of those moments now. As your heart grows clearer, your choices become more intentional, and your confidence settles into a quieter, steadier place. The opportunities, conversations, and experiences entering your life may begin reflecting that same sense of inner alignment. This can appear in many different forms. An opportunity that once seemed distant may suddenly feel within reach. A conversation could reshape an important decision. Someone may enter your life with perfect timing, or you may recognize that the path you've been following has been leading towards something more meaningful than you first imagined. Rather than feeling like random coincidence, these moments often resemble pieces of a larger picture quietly coming together. Because you naturally consider different perspectives before making important decisions, periods of change may sometimes feel slower than you would like. Yet there are moments when clarity arrives, and what once required endless weighing suddenly feels surprisingly simple. The energy surrounding these days suggests that situations which have lingered in uncertainty may begin finding their natural direction, almost as though a window has been opened and fresh air is finally moving through spaces that once felt still. Meaningful transformation rarely depends on dramatic upheaval. More often it unfolds through a series of connections that only become obvious when you pause and look back. What once appeared disconnected begins revealing its purpose. Choices, conversations, and experiences start forming a bridge between who you have been and who you are becoming. This shift may feel unexpected at first, yet it reflects something you've been building quietly over time. Every thoughtful decision, every moment of honest reflection, and every effort to create healthier balance has prepared you for what comes next. As your confidence becomes rooted in authenticity instead of uncertainty, opportunities naturally begin aligning with the person you've grown into. This moment is not about reaching a final destination. It is about recognizing that your path has quietly turned toward a horizon that once seemed beyond your imagination. Sometimes the greatest surprise isn't that life has changed. It's realizing how naturally those changes began once your inner world found its own sense of balance. Lasting transformation rarely happens all at once. It unfolds through a series of quiet realizations, first awareness, then deeper understanding, and finally the confidence to make choices that truly reflect who you are. When your decisions grow from inner clarity rather than fear, obligation, or the need to please everyone around you, the opportunities meant for you become easier to recognize. And then, almost without forcing anything, the opportunities you've been quietly preparing for begin to appear. Growth is rarely as still as it seems from the outside. What once felt like waiting often turns out to have been a season of gathering wisdom, refining your perspective, and becoming ready for the next chapter. As you move through life with greater self-awareness and a stronger sense of balance, the path ahead begins to open in ways that feel less like coincidence and more like a natural reflection of the person you've become. If you've noticed that different parts of your life seem to be connecting in unexpected ways, take a moment to share your experience in the comments. Comment if you feel that a meaningful new chapter is beginning to take shape for you. Many Libras may be sensing this same quiet shift, and hearing one another's stories can be a reminder that personal growth often unfolds through shared moments of reflection. Before we bring this reading to a gentle close, there's one final perspective worth reflecting on. The emotions you've been navigating, the changes within your relationships, the growing confidence you've discovered, and the deeper understanding you've gained about yourself are not separate experiences. Together, they reveal a larger pattern, one that may help you see this season of your life with greater clarity and purpose. If you've stayed with this reading until now, perhaps something you've heard has quietly echoed a feeling you've already carried within you. Looking back over everything we've explored, it becomes easier to recognize how each piece connects to the next. The shifts within your heart, your growing sense of self-worth, the changing dynamics in your closest relationships, and the opportunities beginning to emerge are all reflections of the same inner transformation. Even if your outer world is only beginning to catch up, it's clear that you are no longer standing in the same place emotionally, and that quiet change may be the most meaningful one of all. The most meaningful realization may not be about what life is bringing toward you. It may be about recognizing who you gradually become along the way. Over time, you've learned to weigh different perspectives, seek understanding, and preserve harmony where you could. Those qualities remain part of you, yet they are taking on new depth. Your desire for balance is becoming clearer discernment. Your compassion is becoming healthier boundaries. Your willingness to understand others is beginning to include a deeper understanding of yourself. Because of that inner growth, the path ahead does not need to feel uncertain. The changes approaching you are not here to pull you away from who you are. They are inviting you to express your truest self more openly through relationships that reflect mutual respect, opportunities that recognize your gifts, and choices that feel genuinely aligned with your values. Rather than asking you to become someone different, life may simply be encouraging you to become more fully yourself. If something you've heard today caused you to pause, don't dismiss that feeling too quickly. Sometimes clarity arrives quietly, like morning light, gradually filling a room or a window opening after the air has stood still for too long. There are moments when life offers understanding without demanding immediate action, and this may be one of those moments for you. Life lesson. Lasting transformation begins with honest awareness. As you recognize your own value, trust your inner wisdom, and make choices that reflect both, your life gradually begins aligning with the person you have become. Growth is not something to fear or rush. It is the natural unfolding of a life lived with greater authenticity, balance, and intention. If this reading arrived at a meaningful time in your life, we'd love to hear from you. Comment if today's message resonated with something you're currently experiencing. Your story may offer encouragement to another Libra walking a similar path. And if you enjoyed this reading and would like to continue exploring the themes and symbolic patterns surrounding Libra, remember to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss future readings. Thank you for spending this time with me, Libra.